Hello, you wonderful viewer. I'm just watching that new film, The Predator. Okay, you caught me. I'm actually watching Disobedience. Not a bad film. I like the look of it. Great cinematography. It really is something. Don't judge me. So yes, The Predator. Not to be confused with Predator or Predators, but The Predator. The definitive Predator. But not really, because there's more than one. Is writing modern movie titles that hard? Is the next movie going to be called A Predator? These Predators? That Predator? Over there? I digress. It's another Predator film that drags the franchise further into the gutter, kicking and blowing its rape whistle. Is anyone surprised it's bad? The signs were there from the start that it was going to be a stinker, what with the reshoots and strange casting choices. I'd say the Predator franchise as a whole hasn't done too well critically. Let's quickly look at said franchise before I fist this new film up to its gallbladder. The original Predator is a great family movie. It's pure, unadulterated 80s fun with high-octane action and tension that'll have you sweating like a blind lesbian at a fish market. Premise is simple enough. It's just manly men fighting in a jungle and sees Arnold Schwarzenegger hunting for Mexican maids to fuck. The real star of the show was a cloaking Rasta alien, and this film made it a classic movie monster up there with Alien and Freddy Krueger. The film became a cult classic, and of course, with anything that becomes popular, comes the inevitable sequels. Predator 2 decloaked a few years later and swapped the South American jungle for the concrete jungle of a hyper-violent Los Angeles. Predator number 2 goes around killing off drug dealers like he's watched too many Death Wish movies. It's up to Danny Glover, playing a maverick cop, to save the day. He actually defeats the Predator, and then dons whiteface to celebrate. Racist! If you had to twist my arm, I'd say it was a serviceable sequel at best. It tried to mash in comedy that just fell flat on its face.
Okay, pussyface. It's your move. Shit happens.
But it did try to expand on the Predator creature and the lore. Did you know the Predator is pro-life? The more you know. Because there are popular Alien vs. Predator crossover comics and video games, some lobotomized studio execs thought they could be translated well to the big screen for monies. Sure enough, Alien vs. Predator had the two iconic film monsters come together in an action-packed crossover that was short on plot but big on poorly lit and badly edited fights. All the while, the humans stood around picking their noses. Pretty underwhelming, if you ask me. Then there was Alien vs. Predator Requiem, which saw Alien and Predator settling down and having a baby. Sadly, their mixed-race love child got confused about its heritage and lashed out at the squishy humans by running around impregnating all the women's. It was weird. But I did discover a new fetish. Do you know how many German hookers will give you this treatment? I'll give you the answer. 0! There was the middling Predators that had Adrian Brody taking on the alien hunters armed with nothing but a six-pack and a sharpened pointy nose. I will say that the premise wasn't that bad. A bunch of soldiers and killers transported to a predator hunting planet for sport. But instead of one predator, it had a bunch of them, and some alien dogs. More is not always better, though. It did seem like an attempt to get the franchise back to its roots, yet it never quite captured the feel of the original Predator. None of these films do. 20th Century Fox needed a cash injection, and coming up with new intellectual properties is too much effort and risk. So, here we are with The Predator. If you like coprophilia, then you'll love this, because it's pure shit. The Predator you know and love has been dumbed down and is about as scary as a Furby. It's big on action and nothing else. I don't know if this is a studio decision or the director Shane Black or both. Shane Black actually starred in the original Predator. He had a small part as a wisecracking radio operator who is the first to get killed off. But I guess Fox thought that was enough experience with the franchise to qualify him to direct and co-write it. I think Shane Black is more suited to light-hearted movies. Not sure if the Predator franchise is a good fit. Apparently, Shane wanted to take the film franchise in a new direction and make it a bit zany and different. Then the script got leaked online. I read the leaked script and it was awful, hilariously bad. No way it could have been legit. However, when the first trailer dropped, it confirmed some plot points. 20th Century Fox went around burning away any trace of the leak, and test audiences came forward and said that what they saw was terrible and more akin to a comedy film than a sci-fi action horror movie. So there was a lot of reshoots and massive changes. Quite a bit of content was cut, which meant some actors who were going to star in it got jilted out of a job, like Edward James Olmos. He was going to be in it. He was almost in it? Why do I bother? Edward James Olmos isn't just a pretty face. He's a good actor, too. You should see him in Battlestar Galactica. Great performance. That kind of acting could have really spruced up this film. Just look at that raw emotion. See how he dribbles on his fellow actor and doesn't give a fuck. The actors in The Predator do dribble, but only because of how retarded they are. These soldiers of misfortune spend most of the film running around, spraying and praying, while talking utter shite. Here's a quick rundown of the cast of tropes who will be squaring off against the infamous Predator. We have the main character, Quinn McKenna, played by Boyd Holbrook, who is your standard stoic action hero. Olivia Munn. Oh, that's how she keeps getting movie roles. She plays a scientist. A sexy scientist. Generic action movie black guy. Token Latino. Dios mío, puta madre. A MILF. Chris Hansen. Lily Allen's brother, Dickless Greyjoy. A soldier with Tourette's, who is Detective Miller. De Belta. Unfunny comedy relief character, comedian Keegan Michael Key. Government guy with dubious motives. And Rain Boy, the autistic child of Quinn who is able to decipher and understand an advanced alien species language and gets hunted by a predator. He has almost supernatural levels of autism, by which I mean he has movie autism, where you are some sort of high-powered supercomputer inside a flesh bag, whereas actual autists can be screaming shit-flingers. I would pay good money to see the Predator square up to that mental maelstrom. Come on, movie. You could have at least stuck a Naruto headband on the kid for authenticity's sake. I think he was put into the film to tick a special diversity quota box. Having an autistic character does not automatically make things better, and I stand by that statement. The characters aren't great, but the plot is piffle. The Predator starts with the Predator escaping another The Predator, but he crashes his ship in Mexico. McKenna is there with his squad, doing some sort of special mission, and then he comes across part of the crashed ship. He finds some nifty alien loot that is too big to smuggle up his bum, so he mails it to his family for safekeeping. Fuck me, is that contrived? Are you telling me at no point the package was scanned by customs or the postal service? In an age of terrorism and bombs, no one scans a suspicious package from a foreign country. His autistic son gets hold of the advanced tech and immediately gets to grips with it. After a run-in with a predator, McKenna runs off but gets caught later. Government dudes capture the literal illegal alien from Mexico to study it in a lab, and presumably to ironically anal probe it. Olivia Munn is brought in to help the scientists because she's an evolutionary biologist, and also the film is starting to be a real sausage fest. After McKenna is apprehended and interrogated, he's put on a short bus full of crazy, kooky characters. They're supposed to be lovable misfits, but they're just insufferable twats. Some of them have so little characterization they might as well be human-shaped wallpaper. Everyone quickly runs through their gimmick and backstory, and we get an insight into the type of witty banter you can expect for the rest of the film.
If your mom's vagina were a video game, it'd be rated E for everyone.
Strap yourself in, folks. It only gets worse from here. Another predator shows up for some aerial combat, while Olivia and co explain the predator creature for audience members who've never seen a Predator movie. Now, in interviews, Shane Black assured fans that the reshoots weren't because the film was on a first-class flight to Shitsville with a stopover at Contrived Central, but because the film wasn't scary enough. Apparently, the original film had too many fights in the day, and that took away from the horror by having the Predator exposed too much. Bullshit! If that's the case, why have we got the Predator strapped to a table in a well-lit laboratory, fully exposed and helpless? Nothing dispels mystery and tension like drawing more attention to a guy in a rubber suit. Shadows are your friend. Of course, there were other reasons for reshoots and cut content, like when Olivia Munn discovered Shane had cast his friend, who is an actual predator. That is some method acting right there, I tell you. Anyway, Predator wasn't doped up with enough tranquilizers and wakes up to go on a murder spree. Conveniently, this laboratory stores an inventory of Predator props to kit out the alien and do contractually obligated reboot callbacks. Remember those other films? Remember those exist? Yes, I do, movie. I just don't care. Predator escapes captivity just in time for the loonies in their bus to see. They stage a coup, take over the bus, and try to shoot the fucker, but are ineffective. Olivia Munn flops by, and the gang escape on choppers of the bike variety.
Get to the chopper!
They did get to squeeze in that line from Predator. I got that epic reference. I laughed. I clapped. I bought 50 Funko Pops right there and then. Olivia Munn wakes up to a load of guys in a motel. And in the film. Olivia's job is to shit exposition all over the place. She's the exposition shitter 9000. It is from Munn's mumblings that we learn pretty much everything. That predators are juicing themselves on human DNA, even though we are inferior to them. And that the predator is after its loot. Later we learn that all